Okay, today we are diving into a huge topic in software right now, AI red teaming. We're going to break down exactly what it is, how you can actually use it, and maybe, most importantly, we're going to look at the big mistakes so many companies are making when they try to do it. Let's get right into it. So let's just start with the one question that basically changes everything for us in the QA world. How in the world do you test a piece of software that is designed from the ground up to be unpredictable? I mean, just think about that. This is the challenge that makes testing AI a completely different ballgame. And this slide really lays it all out. In traditional software, everything is deterministic. You know the drill. Same input, same output, every single time. You test for an exact match and errors are obvious. A crash, an error code, you name it. But AI, it's non-deterministic. You can give it the same prompt 5 times and get 5 totally different answers. So all those old test scripts, they just don't work anymore. We're not looking for one specific answer. We're looking for a range of acceptable responses. And the errors, man, they are subtle. We're talking about things like hidden bias or the AI just making stuff up. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll explore this new frontier of AI failures. Then we'll introduce red teaming as our solution and see how it works. After that, we get to the really juicy part, the 4 big traps to avoid. We'll wrap it all up by talking about why this skill is such a game changer for your career and leave you with one final thought. All right, let's jump in. Section 1, the new testing frontier. It's time to really understand the weird and unique ways that AI can fail. And probably the most famous new type of failure is the hallucination. This is when an AI just invents information but says it with 100% confidence. I love this analogy here. It's not really lying. It's more like an overeager golden retriever that just really, really wants to bring you back an answer. So it fills in the gaps with whatever it can dream up. It's trying to be helpful, but wow, it can lead you into some seriously strange places. Okay, so if we're up against these new, unpredictable kinds of threats, we obviously need a new kind of defense. And that brings us to Section 2, introducing AI red teaming. This is your first line of defense. So what is it exactly? Well, AI red teaming is basically a systematic adversarial attack on your own system. It's a proactive defense. It uses a huge library of attack patterns, often thousands of them from the security community, to find all sorts of vulnerabilities. We're talking bias, hate speech, prompt injections, and the goal is to find them before they ever get out into the wild. You know, for anyone who's been in QA for a while, this is probably the easiest way to get it. You already know about SQL injection testing, right? Well, prompt injection is kind of the AI version of that. So red teaming is like running these massive automated bug bounties specifically to find those AI weaknesses before your app ever launches. So that's the what, but what about the how? Let's get into Section 3, how red teaming works. We're taking this from theory and putting it into action. Now, red teaming isn't a one-time thing. It's a cycle. You start with an automated scan using thousands of those known prompts. Then you analyze the results to see where things went wrong. You package that up into a report for the developers, and they go in and implement fixes, sometimes called guardrails. But here's the most important part. You have to rerun the tests to make sure the fix actually worked and didn't break something else. It's this constant loop of testing and improving. And you can do this at 2 different levels. You can red team the core LLM model itself, hitting it with generic attacks, or you can test the entire application. And that's often where the really interesting stuff happens, because you can find complex bugs, like how the user interface could accidentally help someone leak private information. Honestly, you need to be doing both for your testing to be truly comprehensive. Okay, here we go. This is the main event. This is the stuff that separates a real, solid AI testing strategy from one that just looks good on a slide. Let's dive into the 4 most common red team traps. The first trap, and I would say this is by far the biggest one, is thinking that red teaming is all you need to do. It's not. Red teaming is like casting a wide net. It's a broad scan. It uses those generic community prompts to find the common stuff, the low-hanging fruit. Think of it as your baseline security layer. But strategic testing, that's where you get out the scalpel. It's targeted, it's deep, and you're using custom prompts that are laser-focused on your business needs and your edge cases. That's your true quality assurance layer. You absolutely need both. Okay, the second major trap that so many companies fall into is trying to do this manually. Just let that sink in. With the thousands of ways these things can go wrong and the fact that they're non-deterministic, trying to manually check for every vulnerability, it's just about impossible. You might find a few things here and there, sure, but you need automation to do this at scale and to do it consistently. All right, let's move on to trap number 3. This one is all about forgetting the full picture. So many teams make the mistake of testing the AI model all by itself, in a vacuum. But some of the nastiest vulnerabilities pop up at the application level. For instance, an indirect prompt injection could come from a piece of data that a user submitted that the model only sees way later. You would totally miss that if you're not testing the full integrated system. And that brings us to our last trap, and honestly, this one might be the sneakiest of them all. And that is the one and done myth. With old school software, if the code doesn't change, the system is stable. But AI models, they drift. A model that passes every test with flying colors today might slowly get worse over time. 6 months from now, it could be failing all over the place. Testing is not just a checkbox you tick before launch anymore. It has to be a continuous, ongoing process if you want to stay safe. So after hearing all that, why should you personally care so much about this? Well, that brings us to Section 5, why this skill matters and the massive career advantage it gives you. Because your role is evolving in a huge way. When you understand these new AI risks, you're not just a bug finder anymore. You become a strategic risk advisor. I promise you, most of the people on the dev team have no idea about these vulnerabilities. You become the person who can empower them with this critical information. You're shifting from just a tester to a true quality expert. And in this new era of AI, that makes you indispensable. And that brings us to our final section, and really just a question for you to take with you. Your next step in AI. So, I want to leave you with just this one question. Your company is almost definitely building something with AI right now. So, who is testing for all these new vulnerabilities we just talked about? And if the answer to that isn't immediately obvious, well, that person could, and probably should, be you.